So this song is about the act of falling in love,
The
staring
falling.
at the falling, right? The lavender haze is the falling in love. And that is new to her, because the only other person we saw her really fall for was Wickham, but it was more of an infatuation. It wasn't a match of equals.
But she thought she was really falling in love with Wickham. Like, she wants to fall in love. She wants to feel that feeling.
What's interesting though about Wickham to me is she falls out of love with him, or she walks away before she knows his background. Like, she organically, that relationship runs its course.
Yeah, very quickly.
Which is
whereas this
super
is not.
interesting. Yeah.
This is not.
I really like this lavender haze idea too. We didn't really talk about Lady Catherine de Bourgh too much, but I feel like she represents society. Like, I think she's very much representing the larger society. And what I like about this song with it is that this lavender haze, like, it kind of, it's a fun image. It's, cool to think about. But if you also think about it, those early stages of a relationship, sometimes lavender haze makes you kind of dumb because you're not seeing red flags. And also can kind of help you, like, get through the difficulties of the beginnings. And I like this image because the idea here I have is that, like, Lizzie and Darcy are in this lavender haze, and it helps protect them from Lady Catherine, because she comes to Lizzie and is like, you promised me you aren't going to do it. And she's like, no, like, get out of my house, go away. And then she goes and has the same conversation with Darcy, and Darcy's like, first of all, no. Second of all, she also said no. Be right back. I have to go talk to Lizzie. But it's that love they have, like, that new love that's, like, kind of protecting them from those, like, I'm damned if I do give a damn what people say.
Exactly. There's constant gossip, constant social commentary. Everybody has something to say. Even going back to the only kind of girl they see is a one night or a wife. There's a line, loss of virtue in a female is irretrievable. That one false step involves her in endless ruin. That her reputation is no less brittle than it is beautiful. And that she cannot be too much guarded in her behavior toward the undeserving of the other sex. Like, you got to be careful as a woman, because you're going to screw up your reputation if you give something to somebody that then doesn't want to marry you. Like, there's only two options for women. You're either going to marry somebody and be their bride, or your reputation is in ruin and you're the kind of girl that goes and has one night stands. So you're either Lydia or Jane.
The fish out of water and the social commentary, like the kind of not belonging, also made me draw this parallel to Eloise in Bridgerton. And now I'm like, is Eloise in Bridgerton actually Elizabeth Bennet? Like,
very similar
characters, because you have this person who understands how society works, but, like, doesn't really want to play the game at times, or
has to
challenge the game.
Exactly.
Wants to challenge some of the things in the game. And I feel like this song is, like, really leaning into that more. It's like, if you wanted to modernize, even, like, bring Elizabeth Bennet up to speed in today's society or whatever, it's almost like Lavender Haze is, like, the modernized version of it.
What I think is interesting, too, about kind of setting it in its original time as a story, though, is how many hoops they have to jump through to, like, get to talk to each other, because, like, men and women can't really be alone. And that's part of where I'm not really anti-marriage as the happy ending here, because if she and Darcy even just want to spend time together,
they have to be together.
They have to be together. So, but I think that makes sense with this lavender haze. If I want to stay in this lavender haze, they have to get married. If they want to stay in this where they can be together and be happy and enjoy it, like, really socially, their only option was marriage.
Yes.
As much as I disagree with that now, at that time, I do see that as, like, staying in that lavender haze kind of thing.
There's a quote from earlier in the book: a lady's imagination is very rapid. It jumps from admiration to love, from love to matrimony in a moment. And I think what I'm hearing from you is, like, that's because that's your only option. Like, you don't have another, and not just in order to spend time with a man, like, literally to have a life, you need to get married. Otherwise you're stuck in your parents' home, like Mary.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
Mary.
with Darcy too, they didn't have a ton of transportation options. Like, he has to go back to Pemberley at some point. She's not going to run into him when she's 60 miles away or whatever it is. So there's also just, like, the logistics of, like, if we want to be together, we have to kind of, like, legalize this and really commit, because they can't obviously we know they can't text and stuff, but, like, they can't even drop by.
They can't even smoke signals.
They're not doing, video calls. They don't have, Zoom.
You're right that they couldn't have matched on Bumble and
okay. Someone out there who does sketch videos, though, if you could do a Bennett family Zoom call sketch,
stop it.
That would be incredible. Mr. Bennett would be asleep in his chair.